Hello and welcome back to another new edition of Windows and Current Affairs. And today, of course, we continue to embark over tourism, the file of tourism, the very rich file of Egyptian tourism. Of course, as you all know, a country like Egypt can never be defeated by a pandemic or anything other than that. But of course, the COVID have affected every part and parcel of our lives worldwide. And this is what happened also to tourism. Today we're going to talk explore the field of tourism 2021 or 2020 or 2021, 2022. How far have COVID have affected that medium, and also what is in store for summer for tourism in Egypt and everything that is related to that particular medium. We're very delighted to be having with us here Mr. Emad Nicola, and he's the owner of a travel agency. Good evening, Mr. Nicola.
Good evening.
How are you doing?
Doing great, thank you.
Let us first talk about tourism. You are an owner of a travel agency, and you have been observing the medium and the situation worldwide. Tourism has been affected everywhere. Even there is a ban on flights. But that does not really have affected how the course of tourism in Egypt have been going, because there are many types of tourism in Egypt, and that's why if something is halted, we can work with the other. So explain to us, how have COVID affected tourism lately?
Well, to start with, this pandemic actually stopped everything. There is no any kind of tourism that kept going during the past period. Simply because we don't have flights, nobody's flying, nobody's coming over, and the main objective of protecting yourself from the COVID is to stay home. So nobody was traveling for any reason. Actually, the travel business worldwide is the main, the first activity in the world that been badly affected till the zero. And nowadays, we have some promises, or we can say the situation is now a little bit promising, that we might have some business during this period and the coming summer, and maybe by next winter we will be in a much better situation than what we are in now.
Right. However, in spite of all that, Egypt have been chosen as one of the best and the top and the most charming touristic destinations for 2020. Yeah, 2021 or 2020?
2021, and
how is that?
That's counting on what do you call it?
You mean the surveys?
Surveys, exactly. I'm sorry. The surveys have been going online for a long time. Most of the people worldwide is hoping to see Egypt, is hoping to come over and experience our culture, and everybody in the world would love to come to Egypt. Wherever you go, wherever you travel, when you say that you are Egyptian, first thing you hear is, I would love to come to Egypt. I would love to go to Egypt. Whatever your nationality is, I've been around the world. I've seen a lot of people, a lot of nationalities. Everybody have a hope that one day they will visit Egypt. One day they will have a picture with the pyramids, or go to Luxor and see the Nile. So it's not strange that the surveys came up with this idea, with this results, because it is true. It is true. And actually, without the pandemic, would have been in a very good shape right now, because in 2019 we've been doing great, actually. The hotels start to get totally full. We've been very busy in our companies and hiring people, more training other staff to make the just to absorb the demand that we have been facing in 2019. Now, let's say, as soon as we will get a way to maneuver around the COVID, wherever it comes with vaccine or a treatment, or just go away by itself, we will have a big boom in the tourism field, and we will have a lot of business because everybody wants to travel now. People have been locked in their rooms and houses for over a year now. So the first chance they can travel, they will travel, and wherever the coast is. So we are hoping for tomorrow.
The Ministry of Tourism and even the government is very much aware of the quality of treasures in Egypt, and that quality of tourism that Egypt provides for a tourist, an incoming tourist, regardless of where he comes from, all types of nationalities. And that's why there has been a new trend, a modern new trend, sophisticated, to link tourism or ancient tourism and seeing, visiting the history and knowing about the history of Egypt, and also linking it with civilization. And from that came that booming effect that came lately, the golden parade of the pharaohs, and that boomed everywhere. It was covered everywhere by more than 400 different media outlets, international media outlets. And from that also particular stance, Egypt made it to the Ministry of Tourism to establish the National Museum of Civilization, of Ancient Civilization. Just to show the world that it's not only our history and the culture that we make, but it's also about civilization. It is a museum to exhibit treasures, the pharaonic treasures, and history, and also some other things that are related with the SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. It's a unique museum. Of course, you have, you know it better than me. So talk to us about that particular initiative by the Ministry of Tourism and by the Egyptian government to reflect to the world that it is an ongoing civilization or culture ever since the ancient history and until 2021.
That's what the Museum of Civilizations is introducing, showing the world that, yeah, we have the beautiful heritage of the pharaonics, but still, after the pharaonics, we had a great other civilizations, the Coptic ones, the Islamic ones, and all these along all these years, since the pharaohs, the beginning with the pharaohs 7,000 years ago, until Muhammad Ali, we've been always having our bright areas, bright time, and this bright time has to be shown to the people. So we don't like skip 2,000 years between the pharaohs until today. No, within those 2,000 years, we had our good times. We had our own civilization. The new museum is a piece of art. It's a beautiful place. And it's the world-class museum. And I cannot wait to show it to my clients as soon as they come back to visit us. And of course, we're all waiting for the Grand Museum at the pyramids. We have been asked about it like every day, every week, when it will be open. Want to come and see it. This is a great step forward to the travel business in Egypt and travel industry, the Egyptian travel industry. Now, when we talk about the history and civilization, we should also embrace the fact that we opened a part of Abdin Palace because it is a beautiful place and it is historical and it was locked for long years. Why? Shouldn't. We should show that beauty to the people, show them that we, in the recent history, had made beautiful places like Abdin Palace. And I hope also when we open Muhammad Ali Palace in Shubra Al Khaimah, and we open the Muhammad Ali Palace in Manyal.
And Baron Empire Palace also.
Baron Empire Palace. All of these things are like new civilizations that we should be proud of. We should show it to the people, not only the pyramids and the museum and then go to Luxor. No, we have things now that we have to show it to the people because we did not die between the pharaohs and now.
Exactly.
We were there and we made beautiful things. We couldn't show it to the people. Now it's time to show it.
True. We're going to go to a short break and we'll come to continue our interesting chat about tourism in 2021 and amidst COVID. Stay with us. Welcome back, and we're still on with that interesting look over the Egyptian tourism and how far have we reached. The innovative means of tourism under COVID still struggling and at the same time at the forefront and still attracting tourists in many means and many ways. And we're still having with us live in the studio Mr. Emad Nicola, and he's owner of a travel agency. Of course, we were talking about the National Museum of Ancient Civilization, and even that particular museum, among other museums that were established lately, that particular museum even overshadowed the other earlier museum that was established in New York, Manhattan, the Ancient Museum of Civilization, which many tourists, who visited New York would have been there visiting Guggenheim Museum and the Museum of Natural History and the other Museum for Civilization. This one has overshadowed those museums, which means that there is serious intention for the Egyptian Ministry of Tourism to be able to reflect the current civilization for the whole world. Together with other museums that were established lately, some of them at the airports, some in Hurghada, some in other places, you name it. This is also a great attempt by the Ministry of Tourism to be able to reflect new means and new ideas and new initiatives to attract tourists.
Actually, you have missed one very important thing that also been progressing during the past year, which is the Pyramids Plateau.
No, okay,
Yeah.
sure.
The work the work is going there now is great. We've been suffering for years from the fact that the tourist, when he visits the pyramids, been mistreated. The area was not clean from the animals that give the camels and the horses, and a lot of sellers running around trying to sell
Street
goods.
vendors and
To the clients, till the limit that we had to send with the groups like 2 or 3 of our guides to protect them from all this hassle that they have to face visiting the pyramids. No good roads, nothing. Now it's totally changing. Finally, I've been in this industry for like 30 years, been waiting for this for 30 years, as long as since I started. When is the day when the Pyramids Plateau will be up to the standard of the huge...
of the place.
Exactly. The first...
and the history.
The number one world miracle in the history. Finally, it's going there. The area has been cleaned, roads have been opened and widened, and a lot of places is coming up. people can stay and have a coffee and watch the pyramid. Can you imagine that there was no a place near our pyramids for a client to sit and have a coffee over watching the pyramids? It was crazy. Now, it is there, and it's coming up. With the opening of the Grand Museum, there will be a road full of everything, full of cafes, restaurants, shops, souvenirs. People can walk from, I think, for a mile and a half, from the museum till the pyramids, a plateau, in a nice, decent, clean area, protected. Nobody's hassling them until they do their visits. Now, this is very important. When we have this, we overshadowed everything in the world because we have now the number one monument of the world, which is the pyramids. There is nothing comes near to it. Then, after the pyramids comes whatever it is. So, pyramids and Sphinx is number one of the world heritage. So, I'm very happy with what's going on there. Hopefully, they will finish it soon, and the visit will be more enjoyable in this area than before. That the clients had to suffer actually to make the visit. Now it's getting better. Now, what we should talk about also is, as you mentioned, the museums that we are opening in Sharm el-Sheikh and Hurghada, and these are important. But let me tell you that it is important, like the museum in Sharm el-Sheikh, is important for the client who's just visiting Sharm el-Sheikh and back. They need to see something of our heritage. They go and visit that museum. Same thing apply for Hurghada. Although Hurghada have an advantage that the visitors of Hurghada have only 4 hours drive to reach Luxor and make a visit over there and come back to their hotels. But in Sharm el-Sheikh they don't. So, but if they don't have the time, now we have a museum in Hurghada. So we are reaching out to our visitors, make it more convenient for them to see the things they just heard about it in their country. Egypt have a lot of lovely things, especially the pharaonic items and the pharaonic monuments. Adding to that, if we kept on the same pattern that we're going through in improving the tourist destinations within Egypt, we need also to do the same in Luxor, a little bit in the West Bank, need to be improved. I'm urging the ministry to start working there. Although I know it is difficult because everywhere in Luxor, wherever you dig, you'll find monuments. So they are very careful.
They're very cautious when it comes to, that's why probably, but adding to you also, and you raised a very important point, the Egyptian administration, the government as a whole, not only the Ministry of Tourism, have made a revolutionary step by taking that infrastructure, the infrastructure of the whole country, including, of course, the roads that lead to the pyramids plateau and the pyramids plateau itself, and they're being very much aware of the reservations of the European tourism, the Japanese tourism, because European tourism, of course, they mind to go to a clean infrastructure and a paved road to reach to the pyramids, and also a place where there is no animal abuse, for example, which was a very important intake by the Europe. This has diminished. They have upgraded that particular, cases, the current government, and have improved it a lot.
Yes.
Of course, and this is witnessed by European tourists.
Yes, and
Previewing, in their previews and touristic experiences.
I used to get very upset from one of these pictures of the always the camel near the pyramid. That because this picture spread around the world, some of the tourists, especially the Americans, when they come, they think that Egypt is still on camels. And they said, wow, we didn't know. We were in that huge city, Cairo. Wow. We need to show it in a different way. We need to deliver the idea.
Other sides of Egypt.
Exactly.
And only except that those Americans, excuse me, if they could, they need to read more about
course.
countries to realize that Egypt is not only a camel and only a desert, but you're very right. We need to show more sides.
Let me tell you a little bit, a little story of what happens to me in the States like 15, 20 years ago. I was lecturing about the Egyptian civilization in one of the high school in Harlem, in New York. And while I'm standing,
which have a very different culture.
Exactly. I had a name tag, and it says Egyptian, Egyptologist, and my name. And so one of these young man coming to the class to hear the speech, and he looked at me and said, Egyptian? And I said, yes. He says, are you really Egyptian? And I said, yes. And the guy ran away and brought one of his friends and look, man, this guy is from Egypt. I saw that the Egyptian disappeared 2,000 years ago. You are true. He thought that we don't exist, only pharaohs, and then that's it. Egypt, they managed. Yes, they need to read more.
In other words, you're urging to show more of the modern Egypt.
Yeah.
We have already, ever since President Sisi have stepped into office, we have seen them more, a lot more of modern Egypt, assuming the chairmanship of the African Union and promoting for the Egypt 2030, Egypt 2063 sustainable development plans and the Egyptian vision, and taking the lead in fighting tourism and eliminating, terrorism, not, excuse me, and eliminating terrorism entirely from Egypt. I mean, we have been leading examples for them in the United Nations. I mean, too many steps taken to show them the modern Egypt.
Yes, and we need to do more.
Of course.
Like we've been discussing about the digital tourism, showing the people. Now, like you and me and like everybody, we are now, half of our time is looking at our mobiles, surfing the internet. People are now visiting the most remote areas in the world through the internet. So we need to we started, actually, the Egyptian government started to do a lot of work in this area. But we just need to put them all together in a certain page, certain area where those who's interested can just click on that area and this page and see whatever you want to see in Egypt. You can see it easily.
Exactly.
If we do that, we build the desire for visits within our clients worldwide, because when he sees that on the internet, he starts thinking, I wish I could go, I wish I could see. So this is a kind of marketing that we need to build on it these days, because all the marketing has went from TV and the newspaper into the
social media.
The social media.
You're very much true. And being an owner of a travel agency and an expert on marketing tourism, you can easily do that and invent new initiatives on your own at your end. Given the fact that we had in plans as a government and as people that are trying to cope with the whole world towards digital life, but COVID have speeded up the digital life. And this is one of the benefits of COVID. We must make a benefit of every, hurdle or every difficulty that we meet. the modern tourism and the modern marketing means for tourism, it depends mainly on travel experiences and bloggers and totally new venues and ideas that we haven't have been accustomed to before.
Yeah, I've never thought that if I brought one of the bloggers from the States who was having like 30 million followers, by visiting Egypt, will have a sign up.
And simply relating his experience on social media, you can.
One of my agents just did that, and before the COVID, all his trips to Egypt was booked after this gentleman came and made the visits and take some photos and videos from Egypt and put it on his page. It is totally different. That was not in my time, let's say. We used to have CNN or whatever doing an advertising there and we're happy. It's not anymore. It's these new ways to reach out for the clients. And I guess we all have to change and take that direction and to make it, to get the experience of it and go through it and make it. And now most of the young people I meet is really getting a very good experience in this field, and especially the newly graduate boys and girls are really brilliant when it comes to the digital marketing. They are now really
they're full
clever.
of ideas, modern ideas. We're going to go once again to another break and we'll come to continue, so please be with us. Welcome back, and we're back again with Mr. Emad Nicola. He's owner of a travel agency, and we were talking about how Egypt have coped with COVID and speeded up in its own right and invented some marketing schemes and packages for the tourists. But also, because we're running out of time, we need to know about the difficulties that are still meeting you, or the challenges, let me put it that way.
Yep.
The challenges are everywhere. On top of them is COVID, of course. But you have challenges, especially that we are a country with a history that goes back to more than 7,000 years ago. And we have the religious tourism, we have the beaches, we have the gastronomy, we have whatever you could finding, the historic tourism, the cultural tourism and everything. So tell me, what are the common challenges that are meeting you people in that particular medium?
Actually, we are in a very difficult situation these days, especially the private sector in the travel industry. Of course, everybody in the travel industry, and it is worldwide, not only Egypt. But travel agencies, because we work on commission, we don't own a product, we resell a product. So our margin of profit is very little. With the competition, is very little. Now, when the COVID hits, I had to mention here that we are our business is the human factor in our business is very important. We had to have the qualified representatives. We have to have the qualified guides for a ticketing agents. To make these people qualified, they take time and they take money. You invest on them. And then comes the COVID, all of them, most of them, we couldn't support them during this area. We only supported half of my capacity, like in my company. 60% of my capacity was, of course, the rest left to other activities, real estate, restaurants, whatever it is. Now, when there will be a solution for the COVID, when it should be coming somewhere, because we're not going to live this forever, Now we're going to have, as I told you at the beginning of this episode, we're going to have a big boom in the travel industry worldwide, not only in Egypt. We will have short of staff. We will be short of everything, from the waiter that serves you the breakfast in the hotel to even the managerial levels. So we need the help of our chamber, of the ministry, of the government. That these days, nowadays, we have to start preparing a new generation that comes to fill in those who left the industry, because we cannot anymore. As a travel agency, I used to do that to myself. I always bring fresh graduate, hire them, teach them, and give them the experience step by step, 3 to 4 years, and now they are qualified to do whatever I need them to do. I cannot do that anymore because we've been affected very badly with the COVID. Government has to take this responsibility, make a lot of training sessions, bring people to take training. I can like like myself, I can go for free and give lectures in this area, because what I know, if we, like tomorrow, one of the pharmaceutical companies came out with a medicine that could stop the COVID, a week after that, we're going to have a lot of business. So we have to be ready. We have to be ready with our infrastructure in the travel industry.
Right, but we have to work on every sphere, not only one side. And this is what the government is doing right now, working on the infrastructure, working on museums, working on cultural and civilization tourism and those types. But there is also another type of tourism that never dies. But unfortunately, it would not work with digital tourism, which is the gastronomy and the cuisine, which is so much favored by the Gulf tourism. And you are specialized in Gulf tourism, you said.
Yeah.
So is there, you are people who are professional with marketing tourism. How do you intend to promote with some sections of tourism or some touristic industries that could be difficult marketing them on social media?
Let me tell you, in my point of view, you will not have a tourist who's coming specially for the Egyptian food. But the Egyptian food could be one of the motives.
Incentives.
Incentives and the motives that the people want to
Of course, motivations.
to come and taste that fantastic Egyptian food.
Yeah.
And that is totally, I agree with you 100%, because there's only 2 or 3 decent Egyptian that equipped to have tourists, to feed tourists Egyptian food. Italian is there, American is there, but Egyptian food, it's only 2 or 3 restaurants. And they're always booked, because people are coming like, we need to eat Egyptian food. So we always ask them, and there is always tables are full in these restaurants. So I wish that we will have more restaurants offering the Egyptian food in the best way possible, producing it in the good presentation, and like the 2 or 3 restaurants we were talking about, because it is one of the motives. Yes, true.
And on this note, we add our voice to yours, because the Egyptian cuisine is one of the most, based on being organic, being healthy, being a very distinguished, very well-made, and you name it. I mean, people who have tasted our food can totally understand that. Of course, Mr. Emad Nicola, you are an owner of a travel agency. Would like to thank you so much and wish you the best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I guess this brings us to the end of this edition of Windows and Current Affairs. Many thanks to all of you. Until we see you again next week, that's a goodbye.